Alrighty then, let's get started. Sorry it takes so long. My YouTube is refusing to cooperate with me today, and I'm getting all sorts of weird stuff, so I can't really see the chat yet. Give me a sec, ladies and gents. I'm gonna join you on the chat. For the time being, I'm gonna let you stare at NVIDIA. Nothing really all surprising. Those who followed the video in the morning, watched the morning video. Hey Mike, hey Gene, hey Casey, hey Brad. Of course, all the regulars are here. Love you guys. You're awesome. Give me a sec. I'm gonna post because yeah, YouTube was. I was trying to do that beforehand, but yeah, YouTube was just not going with me on this one. So. Pardon me, give me just a sec. I hope that's going to be rather quick this time around. Yep, wrong thing. Right there, let's go with that. That will do. And that will do. All right, that's good enough. Let's go. So those who watched the video made about NVIDIA earlier in the morning, we don't miss Greg show. Thank you, Gene. Much love, bro. Give it a like. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So those who watched the morning video, I said we're probably gonna stumble upon this. 128 will not be able to break it. I actually said we might make it all the way to the 130. Hello, everyone. Hello, Nerd. Hello, Thomas. We didn't even make it. We actually got helped by 129.19, so you might as well say I was off by like 80 cents, 80 something cents. So hello, 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 expanding spatial outcomes, right. Hello, welcome guys, boys and girls. Hello, welcome, enjoy the show. I'm currently talking about NVIDIA, the video I made about NVIDIA earlier in the morning. I said we're probably gonna see Nvidia stumble upon this 128, maybe break through a little bit, of course, some slippage as we can expect with that momentum, making it all the way to maybe 130. We didn't even made that. We got held by 129. All in all, basically this. So not that exciting. I kind of said we're gonna see rather a flat day. All in all, with regards to Nvidia, with regards to the market, all in all, because if we're gonna objectively look at what the market did today, we opened up with a tiny gap, right? We made a tiny movement downwards towards the bottom of the gap, didn't even make it there, just kind of dashed along. All in all, if you're gonna zoom out a little bit and just look at it in a realistic perspective, it is rather flat. More so, I would like to reiterate the correlation between the indices and the assets. And you know what, let's do this fun exercise. It's gonna be like I think 1, 2, 3, 4 pocket and kind of downwards, right? That's kind of what we got today. That's the 1 minute. Let's copy that wonderful stuff. Let's go right here, see how far off we were. So here it is, just a little bit, so you can see here it is. Okay, so here is your pocket to the downside, the small one. That's kind of that first step. Here is your second pocket. I don't really have to say anything. Here is that kind of bow, and here's that downward movement. So just kind of reiterate and show you how correlated these movements are. Of course, they're not one-to-one. Price action, price ranges are different. Just to kind of make fun of this, of course, Nvidia has its own price action involved, and the forces that are affecting Nvidia will make so these deviations will not make it look identical. But you get the idea when I say, when I meant yesterday, we're going to see this movement, and we were saying, well, with regards to Nvidia, it's going to be correlated to what we're going to see on the indices. So that's what we meant. Pardon me, give me a sec. I'm just going to shut my phone up because it's I decided, of course, to go bananas as I'm going live. Okay, good. Now, let's see what you guys are saying. Would you say Nvidia made a higher high on Monday afternoon, 130, 133? I mean, oh, that was a mistake. Shouldn't have done that. Let's lock that in. So, I mean, I was, you were saying Monday. We're saying Monday. Let's look, when was Monday. Monday was right here somewhere. No, that's Friday. Okay, Monday. I mean, you told me, is it? Here is your Monday, right? Here it is. That's the candlestick. Let's, here it is, right? Is it a higher high? I mean, you told me, sir. Because to me, that looks like a lower high. Yeah. Actually, the trend is below here, so the price action is dancing on top, and I'm just being an asshole. Pardon my French. But you get the idea, it's more like this. So being on top doesn't mean anything. Brad, did that answer your question? Good? Yes, always zoom out. Everything has to be in the larger context of things, always. It is oftentimes similar to how the horse has his blinders, and it doesn't know, the horse, of course, is galloping forward, doesn't notice he's galloping towards an end of a ridge and gonna fly off. So be very careful, be always attentive to what is going on in the grand scheme of things. Can't wait for tomorrow. Nerd, likewise, we all do. I think we're all waiting for Nvidia. It's going to be a grand thing. Look, there is a reality, there is a higher possibility, there is a possibility here that we're going to get a higher high, actually break through all of this, even through the knee-jerk reaction of the market itself can, while having sort of debating and trying to determine just before, I'm going to assume we're probably going to have a rather flat day. And then when we're going to get closer to the earnings, of course, we're going to have a bit of a rally to the upside potentially, right? And even breaking that 140. So potentially for a secondary, we're even going to have a higher high there. And it could be very excessive. It can be just insane. NVIDIA can go all over the place. Don't forget NVIDIA just split. So the effects are highly magnified. And so, yeah, be aware that this thing can go all over the place on earnings call itself. I wouldn't play earnings calls if you were not pre-prepared, if you don't have a plan. I would just avoid that. That would be literally gambling. More so, you're probably not capable of withstanding the pain. If you're not a day trader, no, I'm not saying potentially you're not, but if you're not prepared for it, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have the right liquidity, various sort of things like that that come in mind, you shouldn't do that. It's the same equivalent as going into a casino, not knowing what was happening on any table. I'm not great with casinos, and I've never been, not gonna lie, not a gambler. But it would be as crazy. I know you to do it right, you need to know what was going on before you arrived. So yeah, with that in mind, I would be very, very careful, even those who play with NVIDIA. Don't forget to like the video. Robert, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys saying so, Robert. I don't think I remember seeing you before, and no, new, not new, doesn't matter. Appreciate the kind words. I appreciate all you showing up. Brad, I forgot to zoom out. We said that. Yeah. Are you predicting any big dips tomorrow? I said I made a video about NVIDIA today in the morning, individually about NVIDIA. I think it's a good one. It sort of summarizes how I think and how I see things. You should do what you do. I just forecast NVIDIA potentially, if not, even if not immediately, and we're gonna look at that, taking a dip of 30%. Some correction afterwards and all that. Remember, nothing is straightforward nor linear, nor should you expect it to happen within the one session. There's a lot in play, but my overall assessment is yes, a movement downwards of a 30% at the time being. Remember, the split amplifies, but it also hurts when you're going down. Rich, brother from another mother, from a British mother, great community member of ours. Yo, Greg, any metric you're particularly looking out for? What do you mean, Rich? I mean, I'm looking at the technicals, and the technicals are showing. I mean, I actually summarized the technicals with regards to NVIDIA in the video today. I'm not going to repeat all of that. It's not a long video. I highly recommend you watch. But it's all in all, the grand idea, the simple idea here is simple. The technicals are on all fronts. Doesn't matter whether we're looking at the indices, whether we're looking at the individual assets, most of them, whether we're looking at NVIDIA individually, they're all pointing down to the downside, basically, and significantly so. So yeah, be prepared. I mean, again, at the end of the day, you do you. I'm just showing you what I see, and I just showed you how the indices are highly related to one another, and of course, if the indices are going to be the indices to the assets, and if the indices are going down, you shouldn't expect your assets to be doing all too well because of that correlation. All they can do is mitigate the damage to one another, which is NVIDIA is big enough of an asset. It's not going to be like fighting a tsunami with a bucket of water, but it is not really. At the end of the day, NVIDIA loses. So it is what it is. Rich, again, if you want to ask the question differently, or maybe I didn't answer or touch upon exactly what you meant, go ahead, just write it again in a different way. I'll be more than happy to answer your question, brother. More so, you have access to me on Discord. All of you guys who are new, not new, don't know, will watch it later, don't know, we have a wonderful community. Tom, Nash, and I, we have a combined Discord. Of course, most of the members there currently are from his side of things, but still a combined amazing community of 17,500 people, and just growing strong. So we're literally scratching at the 18,000 there. So go ahead and join. Highly recommended. What else? Thanks for your response. I'll check out the video always. Appreciate your perspective. Yeah, sure. Of course, G. Of course, I'm happy to let you guys know how I see things. You do you, of course. At the end of the day, holding on 140 NVIDIA DCA of 1 2 3. I think it could hit 170 anytime soon. Whoa. You have an individual sort of special situation. I mean, it's not that special all in all. Again, I wouldn't advise you what to do. At the end of the day, it's your decision. Um, Langer's boating adventures. All right, boating adventures. Uh, Look. Nvidia can be very problematic for you in that sense. Depends on what is your pain threshold, how far you can sort of hold and not lose, not capitulate, if you will, because things can get a lot more painful than these 30% I'm talking about. You just need to consider that one little factor. I'm currently presenting the next move based upon what we see. Okay, on the indices, on the individual asset. Things might get a lot and be a lot worse. The question is, are you prepared then with your current holdings? That's kind of that's what it becomes about. But it really depends on your pain threshold. If you don't mind and you're DCAing and your outlook has, 10 years outwards or even just 7, 5, whatever, beyond the potential recession. And the potential, remember, it's not even certain yet, with all due respect. So if you're okay with that, yeah, it shouldn't matter all in all, but at the end of the day, it's your decision how to play that. I would say if you're not pre-positioned or pre-prepared, there's not a lot you can do. At the end of the day, you're kind of limited with what you can do right now. If the split will accelerate movement, will be right to say split to move to the upside. Wait 1 second. Let me go over the question, Brad. Uh, I mean, it doesn't make it more difficult as much as it does not appear as beneficial, right? You're just having smaller movements because the price action, because if prior to the split you'd have bigger movements, now they will be represented in smaller increments basically, so it will feel less beneficial. Does it matter? At the end of the day, you still make 10 times more because now your stock split. Of course, if you've waited it out and you were able to go through the post-split depreciation and everything, then of course it's beneficial for you. Splits are beneficial if you're already in the stock and you're planning to stay for longer. Basically, that's the right way when it benefits you. But if the stock does revert downwards in a short period of time, of course, you're going to feel the pain amplified because you're going to be not looking at the price difference on the asset. You're going to be looking at how quickly your ROI is shrinking. That's what's going to be, stuck in your eye. If you don't need the money, sit it out. Exactly, Chob. Very smart. Chob, as always, very smart. Understands exactly what I'm saying. It depends on your sentiment as well. Depends on your planning. So there are different ways to plan to play it, but and since the price and as a structure, it's all about how your ROI is gonna feel to you, and if you're able to deal with the pain. Basically, that's kind of what it comes down to. All right, so I mean, everything played out as we've expected. If you're gonna look at Nvidia, for example, as we said on the hourly, we're gonna be able to squeeze all that momentum out, right, from the bottom up to the upside. It's all kind of done, and we've done nothing with it. We ended up on the right here at 128. So the market today wasn't really moving. It's just pretend moving. It's like a shark that needs to be moving in order to breathe. Okay, so didn't really do anything. On larger time frames, nothing probably potentially has changed. Again, we're squeezing out more of this 4 hourly, which doesn't mean anything. We're kind of flat-ish, if you will. You can see that wasting time, as I said. It's going to feel like wasting time. It's mitigating the upwards effects and doesn't allow the price action to move downwards. On the daily, still, it looks bad. So on the daily, potentially, we are going to be moving downwards significantly so. Okay, that at least it seems so. We do have convergence divergence here that's creating potentially some consensus about whether it's going to be an upside. But the larger structure, the further we go, the more we understand that it is more of a downside, the same way the indices are, where they're two tied up to one another. So yeah, we cannot separate them. You should. That's why I most of the time, guys, I cover the indices, because that way I kind of answer the questions for everyone, for the people who are more into Tesla, more into Nvidia, more into Palantir. It doesn't matter. The price action works in such a way that currently the assets are so tied in to one another with the indices, and they work in tandem in such a way that if you know what the indices are going to do, you pretty much give or take, unless exceptional movements, if not given to earnings or something of that sort, you probably know what to expect. So that's why there's a reason, guys, why I cover more so the most relevant index for you to know exactly what's going to happen in the market, because it is very much indicative of what you're going to get on the Russell, which is subsequently indicative of what you're going to get on your smaller, Palantirs and the firms and all that wonderful stuff. So yeah, there's a reason why I make sure to cover S&P for you guys, not SPY, not anything else. Go to the source, if you will. Of course, we can do Nasdaq, but I prefer to do S&P. There is no favorite time frame. It's like saying, what is your favorite color, right? My favorite color is irrelevant. It depends on what it is, right? What that it's for. I'm not gonna paint my kitchen the same color I would like to have my car, if that makes any sense. It's all very circumstantial. And there is no favorite time frame. It's favorite to do a particular job, right? So a particular, depending on what I'm trying to achieve or see, depending on that, this is how I will choose my time frame. So let's go over the time frames. I think we wasted more than enough time on, pardon my friend, jerking around. So 1 minute, again, as always, nothing really there to see. And plus, we didn't really do anything today, all in all. I mean, a bit of an upwards movement, but all in all, if you consider everything, same range, nothing. It's nothing. The market is obviously waiting for, for tomorrow. 5 minutes, also not very interesting. That's what we're gonna see probably in the next 30 minutes, maybe. Some of it, most of it will be squeezed out in the post pre-market tomorrow. Don't think we have anything too interesting today in terms of earnings. It's all for tomorrow. Maybe I'm mistaken. I should probably check. But correct me if I'm wrong, guys and girls. Do we have anything interesting today? Any earnings? So So let's go. Let's continue with the time frames. 45 minutes. 45, 30 minutes become actually more interesting. 30 minutes seems like we're already prepared to go down. In fact, already moved into overbought territory. Potentially we'll retest it again. Could be what we will do over the nighttime. Could be what we will do later down the line, of course, in the morning. More so what we will squeeze out throughout the day. Tomorrow could be part of it, what we're already seeing, because we're already at the end of the session, because we can see several candlesticks outwards, again, depending on how you want to see it, if it's with pre and post market, without it. All in all, it's probably the 30 minutes is going to change, so we're going to have a fresh look on it tomorrow. 45 minutes, very much indicative of us squeezing out that bullish momentum. Pretty much we're done. Like I said, today we're going to have the pseudo bullish day. It is up, but all in all, I mean, yeah, you look at this. I don't have to tell you. It's pretty evident what's going on here. Pardon me for my super horrible drawing. I cannot draw to save my own life, apparently, as my students know quite well. Now, so blah, blah, blah. Now we're again sort of the same thing. It's a bit sideways, not indicative of anything. We're probably gonna end up spending this tomorrow, so nothing all that crazy, right? It's just more sideways action. I think tomorrow's session is gonna feel very much like today's. There is a potential of the session to be very volatile, of the market sort of readjusting, changing if something happens overnight, analysts come out with various predictions, whatever. Very unlikely. My assessment is going to be rather flat. Oftentimes, more often than not, the market is rather flat, not doing anything, just kind of losing momentum in both directions, just kind of dwelling within the same range. So I'm not going to be surprised if this is basically indicative of that, and this is why I was so hesitant of telling you, yeah, we're actually going to see anything that is substantial here. Now let's look at the 4 hours, which is the real fun stuff, where stuff is actually getting interesting. Here, as I predicted, as you can see, we had this convergence and now divergence, and now, weirdly enough, of course, we are pointed back again to do this trick again. Does that change the trajectory? No, it doesn't change the trajectory. We're still pointed down downwards to the downside. So in other words, if we're looking at the 4 hours, we can predict the next following sessions will be a lot more bearish than bullish. All right, so if these following sessions will be bearish, subsequently we should expect that from our assets. More so if Nvidia rallies upon the earnings, it will all be eaten away with the subsequent days simply by the side effects of the indices. So bring it back down to where it is right now. So all in all, it doesn't seem like Nvidia is getting ready to actually rally. Of course, maybe I'm an idiot, maybe I'm wrong. Remember, none of this financial advice is just the meandering opinions of a dude on the internet. Could be wrong. The fact that I worked in the industry means nothing. People from the industry get things wrong all the time. Plus, some of us are just straight up idiots. So, there's that. So, hate to be honest, but that's the reality of things. Brad, I guess at least I made you happy there. This morning we had consumer sentiment come in 103, expected one. Okay, usually this was the market high, but we didn't really get the lack of movement. Gene, very, very good. Being attentive, seeing that the market potentially should have had something, but that something didn't happen is very indicative of something else. The lack of anything in the market sometimes is indicative, is an indication to its own self. Big day, one stock. I remember when Bitcoin miners caused a huge issue for them. Since then, yeah, I remember that as well. A good one there, Rich. I remember, right? I mean, the crypto sector still is very influential, I would argue, to Nvidia, and more so Nvidia is becoming more of a staple and more of this thing that is everywhere, which was always the case. If you remember back in the day, you and I and the rest of we were talking about how Mercedes were moving on to make their electric car, and they wanted to make everything digital and nice and like a super duper crazy panel. Even back then we knew the talk was with Nvidia. Any project that has anything to do with processing power nowadays, it seems, AI subsequently, of course, graphics, of course, it's inescapable. First place, the first sort of company, the first who the other companies would choose to work with is always Nvidia. Subsequently, their profit margins are very, very nice. Hello everyone, Michaels. Okay, hello, Michaelis. Hello, how are you doing, Michaelis? My papa also Michael. Very good name. Now, so where were we? So daily, we said daily is very much similar to the 4 hourly is very similar to the daily. Very good. It is a very good name. I agree, sir. So here we're seeing again that sort of structure. As I said, we're going to spend some time right here in the overbought territory, subsequently squeezing out the rest of that momentum that we have, running on fumes, what it seemed like, because we have mitigating effects from both ends. And now it seems like we're more than ready to maybe make this final convergence, divergence, this play around, depending on the market tomorrow. If not, we're not going to even have that, and the market will start dipping to the downside. The daily is very indicative because the daily will allow us to read the market about what those who know how to do this better, about a week outwards with no issues in mind. So if we're seeing the further, I'm not saying week in terms of calendar terms, where we're looking at about 7 to 8 to maybe 9 days of downwards action, right? I can't even sort of bring it down to a particular amount of days. It's give or take that amount of days. Can we say 2 weeks? That would be stretching it. But still, at times we can. And in this instance, I would argue that we can actually. Of course, the better you are, the more you understand how these tools work and what they actually allow you to forecast. I would argue that here, in my opinion, again, just an opinion, right? About 2 weeks of bearish momentum, which can be interpreted easily, move back towards that 55555 area, retesting that, which is, I think, if I remember correctly, at top of a gap. Yes, that was the top of this gap. so not going to be surprised if we're going to test that, but for the time being I can see that easily, and maybe even making our way to that bottom of that gap, which means for us these ranges. There is another gap that was not closed. Will it allow us to go that far? Maybe. I do feel like I'm slightly stretching it, not having the certainty yet, but it is highly potential. So kinda like this ish. I'm forecasting something akin to this. Maybe of course I've went too far by, as I said, cannot draw to save my own life, but you get the idea. Something more akin to this. I can easily see the market do that. Okay, so let's continue. I don't see anything important to deviate for. I hope that gave you an idea what we're talking what we're talking about here. We're talking about these ranges. We're talking about 5500 to 5455. Yeah, I mean not 55, 5455. Okay, so or if you will, 5446 to call it, to be really precise about things. So that's what we're talking about. These are the areas we're talking about in my assessment. Let's continue. Weekly is very important. Oftentimes people look at it again in this way and say, well, Greg, it's very bullish. You're wrong. We're going to do this. And look at this gap, how wide it's opened. It doesn't seem like we're going to converge here anytime soon. I would argue then you're missing on the actuality of what is going on. The trend is more sort of bringing us downwards, so that it's pulling down. Same way sometimes when we go up, we just kind of do it gradually, right? It's representative. The indicator is almost like a seismograph. It is indicative of what the price action is doing, right? Not the other way around. We just use the indicator to read forward to what the price action potentially can be doing. And what we see here is a pull down. Why do we know that? Because, well, our monthly looks like crap. Coincidentally, that fits, right? Our monthly looks like we are basically squeezing the living bejesus out of this lemon and about to revert here. In fact, probably we'll see some of the negative price action that will bring us further down tomorrow. I think that will play a big role in that. And yeah, potentially what we're seeing here is already part of this process to the downside. So basically the weekly, although being very confusing, is still very indicative of a movement to the downside. Why? Because both surrounding time frames are giving us an idea of movement down, which sort of gives us an idea that even on the smaller and even larger time frames, what we're seeing on the weekly is intermediatory. It's temporary, so giving us the outcome. So this up a trend that we just had, this tiny correction that everybody gives too much credence to, that was that little pull up, and I don't think we're ready to go further than this. The market is basically was ready to break down right here, and in fact this is pretty phenomenal. As I said, my original assessments that we were not really gonna penetrate into that final gap, and as we were getting closer, of course, as you watch the videos, I was able to predict that we will, but I was able to predict also that we will not finalize it and somehow just run out of momentum. Of course, we ran out of momentum just right on the fence, meaning if tomorrow is going to be bullish, it's going to bring the market further higher, potentially giving us that fifth point that I potentially said I could be wrong about, and there's another higher high to be had. I don't think that's the case. From what I'm seeing in my expectation for the earnings is the market to bring everything downwards, subsequently not ever making that higher high than this, making this the highest high, and starting a deeper correction from here. That's something I've been predicting, and a drum I've been beating on for the several months, if you will, and for quite a while. And I was warning about this in our Discord community. Again, another shameless plug. We have a wonderful Discord community. 1 second, let me just bring it in. Just 1 second. Is that okay? So sorry, there's a bunch of stuff. So here's our amazing community. Again, public part, we have our members part, all wonderful topics. Academies, my academy right now is locked temporarily because well, it's full and I'm on sort of vacation, so no signing up. We'll see when I'm gonna start allowing people to sign up again. Pretty full right now, so yeah, it is what it is. Tom has his Value Academy, wonderful tool that everybody needs to have. It is basically given out for free. Basically, I mean, the for its price, it's the equivalent of free. I'm not sure if Tom has any free spots right now. Go to his Patreon, check it out, you will know. And yeah, highly recommended. The links are in the description below. You can join for free. There you can join the public part, which is pretty amazing. All sorts of discussions ranging from Tesla to whatever. There is that. Which I'm pretty sure I'm preaching to the choir here, and most of you guys are aware. This is more to the people who are not aware, not from the community, so don't hate me for this little segue. That's it. Ladies and gents, questions? I mean, nothing really changed. We're pretty much, this live was just to kind of, you know, make sure we're on track to where I was expecting, to brag again that I've predicted the NVIDIA movement and the overall movement today. Of course, it was an I told you video. That's what it's all about. As you have not figured out yet, it's all these videos are about me bragging. That's all it is, you know. So, ladies and gents, questions before we close this off for today. I don't think there's a lot to look at, right? I mean, I don't want to waste your time and hold you here if there's not really anything interesting. Hannes, is that I'm not sure about that Hannes, but is that the Hannes from the Hannes? Is that our Hannes? If that's our Hannes, I'm very excited. Yes, our Hannes. Oh man, I'm so happy to see you. How is DocuSign died on us, huh? The Tom Nash Australian. Yeah, okay, yeah. I was suspecting. I landed there on a private joke, so I knew. Yeah. Of course, nobody else would know. If NVIDIA, man, so great to see you here. I mean, jokes aside, with some seriousness, it's so happy. It's so awesome to have you here. I'm happy you're in real OG. It's so crazy. I really have the OGs of the community here. I love this. 1 second, Hannes. Let me see what Brad is asking. If NVIDIA goes down 30% tomorrow. No, Brad. No. What? Tomorrow 30%? What are you? Wait, no. Take your chill pills. Hold on. That's not how it works. That's not. I'm not saying it's gonna drop tomorrow 30%. I'm saying the outcome of this limb, if you will, this movement downwards will result in 30%. I doubt myself it's going to drop 30% tomorrow. That's not how it works. Brad, please. That would be, I mean, that would be bonkers. That would be just insane. I mean, I can see NVIDIA making like, 10, 15 if things really hit the shin hit the fin the bin, but otherwise, no. 30%, Brad, come on, man. That would be crazy. If the market drops naturally 30%, it's not going to end with 30%. The amount of fear and capitulation that will and stop losses that this will trigger will result with far more than 30%. It's 30% is pretty insane, even for NVIDIA, even within its price range. So, come on, boys and girls, questions. 30%. 5 or more too. Yeah, I mean, if it's going to be very substantial on the indices as well. And more so, what we're going to get on NVIDIA tomorrow is probably the outcome of both. Remember, everything especially on the major assets, the large caps, the bigger players right now, everything we see is an outcome of everything all together. It's never one thing or another. All right, so remember that. You know what, Hannes? You just may give me a thought. There is one spot that I'm willing to give. If any of the OGs who are here right now stayed all this time and want to take the technical analysis course, I'm willing to give you guys a spot just because the OGs are awesome. I'm not saying you need to, you should, whatever, it's up to you. It's just that currently I don't have any spots technically. I kind of ran out. But for you guys, I always have a spot in my heart. You guys are awesome. Like, this is so amazing to see the people who we've been hanging out with like literally years on end. This is just insane to me. This is just crazy. I mean, this is better than any desk I ever worked at. Just straight up honest. All right, what's going on? Yeah, yeah, we're gonna have a Mohammed. We're gonna have a crazy day tomorrow. I mean, I think, look, potentially at the end of the day, when we have rapid movements to the downside, we also correct on them, so nothing is straightforward. We discuss this in the community in depth, but make sure that you realize and you don't take any actions you're not willing, like you might regret tomorrow, just because the market is, especially tomorrow, I think will be very reactive to what's happening, and most of it will happen in post market. And even if you can, most of the time it's through orders. Like if you can participate in post markets through orders, and it's gonna, by the time you press something, the market already moved, like another percent and a half, and you can't readjust your position. I mean, I've been there. Those are really screwy times. Even for an account manager, you still, it's and it doesn't matter. Even, I mean, the only people who really have the advantage, and that's just the reality of things, are the people at the brokerages and the banks. Those are the people who really have the advantage and the ability to execute on large amounts very rapidly. Post market, no, it doesn't, Job. It doesn't. Choose your platforms wisely. I personally trade with the bank, and I love my bank. The bank, for example, just to kind of make fun of it, if I combine all the commissions I pay throughout the year, right, into a single bunch, right? If I bunch it up, and just kind of something that I have to mention, this is that I get a free subscription to Tip Ranks, okay? So I might, and if I look at how much a Tip Ranks subscription will cost me annually to how much I end up paying my commissions annually, it is still a smaller amount than I would pay for TipRanks account, if you will. And so I might as well say I pay no commissions. It's just that I get a discount, a heavily discounted TipRanks account, or vice versa. I can get my free TipRanks, but then I do end up paying an amount that is smaller than that account would cost me. So at the end of the day, I would recommend avoiding all these Robin Hoods, Schmobin Hoods, all that blah blah nonsense. Interactive brokers, oftentimes, I mean, it's a platform and a system. They can oftentimes, I mean, you'll find them working with the best of the best, but it sucks as a platform. Sorry to be honest, it just sucks. It's never been convenient. I remember back in the day, even I considered, and I got it for like a day at some point, even after they had many upgrades and updates, and I ran away from it within the first 30 minutes. It's just still horrible. For charting, TradingView is just perfect. It's the best one there is. I highly recommend. You know, special. I wouldn't call it. I mean, well, if you insist on calling it a bubble, it didn't pop. It just deflates slowly because people come with grasp to what that industry allows and permits us to actually achieve, and how far we are from all these, the things that they imagine, they saw in the Jetsons as they were kids. We're not there yet. And even though we're working on these things, they're still far out, and a lot of regulation and headache and whatnot. So we're far from it, but we're moving there in big strides, right? I mean, now is definitely the time to invest, especially when we're going through turmoil, because in 10 years, we're going to look back and say, ha, crazy who didn't buy then. It didn't matter. That price, this price, $10 more, $20 less, doesn't matter. In 10 years, none of it will matter. Like, really. That's where Tom's system prevails. It's in essence bulletproof. Literally, all you have to do, you're signing up for a winning lottery ticket. Just don't lose it. Don't rip it up until the lottery, comes up to an end, if you will. In fact, people, you don't understand what it takes to be resilient like Tom is. Tom is resilient in a different way. You guys don't realize he is like a wall. The Chinese wall is like a Lego wall next to Tom, and that's good. That is something that you learn only by having several unpleasant experiences, making all the mistakes, and saying, you know what, F it. I'm gonna go for the bulletproof system. I'm gonna go for the thing that, as long as I don't F it up for myself, it will succeed. That's what Tom does, and it works magnificently. Just go with good assets, good companies. That's why our community is all about Tesla, Palantir, large caps. Well, for even Tom is considering an Nvidia position in the future, as we all said. Unlucky for him, he was not able to do it then. He was too preoccupied, really. But all in all, we all understand he wanted. Tom has. Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Always, Hannes, you're here as a witness. You've been in the community since forever. Tom is like he's an immovable force, and that's what allows him to keep calm and DCAing. No matter, like, Tom really is the essence of, if the buy when the blood is in the streets, even if the blood is your own. Like, no joke, Tom does that. That is, people don't realize. First of all, focusing on buying when blood is in the streets is very difficult. Tom is tough. Nails are like plastic next to him. Again, I'm telling you guys, I've seen everything. I've seen people capitulate. You don't hear, most of you don't get to hear Tom and his confidence all the time, and you think, well, maybe he is. No, guys, he's not. I can promise you, I can vouch for that. He is as resilient as it freaking gets. He's not, this is not no bullshit. When I told him there were plenty of opportunities to reposition and rebalance Palantir, he was just like, okay, so what price should I be buying back? Like, should I be buying more? Right? Where's the range of the bottom will be? So I'll be DCAing into it. That's all he care about. Awesome, Mike. Yeah, I mean, then yeah, we're all in the same boat. We all understand, and that resilience takes well, a lot from you, if you will. It's not that easy. People take it for granted. It's not that easy, gents. I've seen people capitulate, like break down like wet cardboard. So. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Fun conversation, ladies and gents. I enjoy this. You're awesome. You're all awesome. I'm just not taking too much of your time, I hope. If you don't have any questions, Mister, I appreciate you and Tom keeping my nerves in check. Well, I'm glad to hear we are able to contribute, KK. But our intention is not like, this is not a kindergarten. We're not here to per se hold your hand, as much as we're just to be straightforward with you with what we see, how we analyze, because Tom and I come from two different sort of branches of the industry, which is magnificent because we can cooperate, and actually what we do complements each other in various ways, not just in a singular way. And if the more you become proficient at both, the better your analysis skills will become overall, and you'll be able to perform better in the future. And more so, pardon me, I'll say the people who are now going through these very tough times don't really realize how much they're benefiting from this whole thing, because look, these events don't happen every Friday, right? This is not something we go through every year. This is not something we go through even every decade. Potentially, what we're seeing right now, if I'm correct, it's something we see roughly about every 20 years. Okay, just to keep it in perspective. And it's not, it's not perfectly round. It's not perfectly 20 years. It might as well be 22, 23, or 19 or 18. It's sort of there's the margin error, the standard deviation there. So you never know really when it's gonna happen. So potentially, what we're seeing right now is not gonna happen in a long time. And when we tell you guys that understanding the market and its various behaviors, a lot of it stems just from being in the market, observing it for a long period of time, right? Understanding its tantrums, if you will, right? That's where it comes from being a part of the market and following it closely and understanding how does the market react to what, and what are the particular conditions that are bringing something about, and how the situation will differ, changing the conditions, changing the variables, right? I mean, think about it. We'll definitely have a very different economic situation right now if all these wars were not a thing. If we didn't have supply chain disruptions still, which subsequently the wars are leading to supply chain disruptions and insurance issues for maritime uh, shipping and all that wonderful stuff. First, okay, Mojito, man. Wow. You have no idea how many of these I've heard in the past uh, uh, years here. That's why we tell you guys educate yourselves, know all the facets of the market, listen to everybody. You don't have to take everybody's advice, but highly recommend it to everybody so you'll know better what to do when you actually stumble upon instances in the market. And instead of being this confused, guy or girl, you'll know, okay, I've seen this before. It's not exactly identical as then. We take the equation of before, change a couple of parameters because these are how these are different, right? And you come with a different outcome, but still you're going to have a give or take. Well, create a plan, think what the institutions are doing, what's beneficial for them, consider, the Fed if need be, interest rates, inflation, uh, oil prices, which are affecting everything. Bottom line, but the way it works is you have to consider everything, and the more you know, you more situations you've seen in the market, the better you will be able to judge future conditions. S&P is safe. We all love S&P 500, of course, of course, of course. There are different various ways to do that. Uh, uh, uh. I mean, well, I'm not sure if that's a question, but what are we saying here? Because I mean, potentially we're looking here at the drop. As I've said, honest, remember, I said if you watch the video, I said I'm seeing something that's going to be up to 44% on this upcoming run down. So we'll see. I mean, I think lower than before. Honest, you've been there, bro. You remember when I predicted the bottom of that event that we all had to run around with the masks. Actually, guys, remember how I tell you I predicted the whole thing and never everybody ever bothers to go and check? Hannes, was I? I predicted the bottom there. Remember? And I had an issue with the location and with the gaps and all that. Now we know. Now, when the future comes, if I'm right and we're going to have this recessionary period bringing us down lower than that low, we're going to close all these gaps that I spoke about that were off and all the discrepancy with the price ranges that we had back then on the bottom. Yeah. Which brings me to the 3300. Again, 3300 is already calculated with the slippage and everything. It doesn't mean that's exactly the number we're going to get. It might stop at 3345. I don't know, whatever. Like, I'm exaggerating, but that's the range ish. That's the what I would consider to be the bottom is the bottom. And we'll see. Things might change until then. I might need to readjust my assessment. uh, uh, what's the nickname there? It's Magalian. Or well, yeah, that's. I see what you mean there. It's funny. I remember. Um, I mean, growing up, I always thought of the market to be this very ethereal thing that only the Buffetts of the world have anything to do. Of course, things have changed since. The market has broadened and opened up, going on, all online and all that, becoming a lot more accessible. But yeah, it's pretty crazy how nowadays a lot of people who get very highly involved in the market oftentimes find themselves waiting for financial events, earning calls, and such things, as excited as they would be for a UFC fight or a soccer match or a football match or a baseball match or a basketball, hockey. Doesn't matter, any sort of sport they highly follow and like. Yeah. Honest, I'm not gonna complain about that happening either. My Qs are gonna be doing very well. My S triple Qs, rather, to be more precise, and subsequently leading into pulling back into Teslas and the rest just on a very convenient price. That's all it is. Getting ready for the next cycle, if you will, which I think that what the institutions will be doing. You guys are awesome. I really enjoyed this hangout. Why don't you guys show up on the Discord? We hang out many times in the public and the members. Guys, show up. We have the same stuff there all the time. Show up. There you can actually talk instead of just me reading giving voices to your sentences. I've stole my honest. You don't remember, bro? When I said back then, remember when Tesla was at 300? I sold everything. I got rid of everything. I was like, guys, nope, this is not gonna work out. The Fed are not doing what they should. At least it started to seem very, very bad. Tesla was at 300. I was not playing this game. I forecasted the big downwards action. And we never seen Tesla go to 300 cents. Got rid of it. Tesla, Palantir, all of it. Sadly, most of my position was in Tesla back then. No, sorry. Sorry, Gene, that's not my field. You should talk to Tom. Tom was probably, he can actually give you like legit proper analysis of this. I have no clue. I used to follow many, 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 many years ago when I was very young hockey and not even all that well. So I don't remember jack shit, so don't ask me. My memory is, sorry, rusty when it comes to that. Honest, the final warning thing is it was the theme of the month. Again, as you know, these processes are very slow happening, and so it was just kind of, it's not like the sentiment is gonna change from yesterday or even a week ago, right? You know how prolonged just think back to back then, how long the bottom was and how long it took people to admit that I was right on the bottom, right? Look how long, I mean, I don't have to tell you. It's a long, tedious process, and we're in it. Next month, I'm going to think of a new thumbnail. It's going to look not that all that different. The thumbnail doesn't matter, so I'm going to change the sentiment, as you know. I'm sorry to be consistently consistent. And those who know me, that's the case. That's his perception, and it's fine. Again, look, no, he doesn't even know whether that's the case. Follow his videos, listen carefully, don't just listen with one ear. Okay, he says he's giving you a warning, and rightfully so. A lot of YouTubers I personally know don't warn their communities of and they were not warning their communities when Tom actually recognized what potentially is my there to be weeks ago. He started giving you a warning. Does it mean that it certainly is going to happen? In fact, if you listen to his video carefully, he says clearly that it might not even happen, right? But there are these and those conditions that he sees, I see differently. It's okay, we're adults, we can have different theses. Back in the day, you would when I worked at the desk, you would be able, of 150 people, you would be able to find 160 opinions. So yeah, Hannes, yeah. Mm-hmm. I see. Very good, yeah. That's just too many. Take the stock. Or dilution is not sufficient. There are various ways to look at it, or that's the play of the Mike. I'm talking to you about Tesla, or it could be, just the Wall Street play, the traders. I mean, Tesla is a good play if you know how to play it. Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Gene, I'm gonna be preparing in advance if we recognize the correct bottoms, if it, everything and all that. Absolutely, yeah. And will be becoming potentially, again, if everything goes according to what I expect, hyper bullish. And the funny thing is, by that time, everybody's going to be very bearish, because you know how the sentiment works. People, by like, if we go down, we're going to go down. The end of the world is coming, and nobody will want to take me seriously and will call me crazy again, which will not going to be funny or weird to me, because I've already got that behavior last time around in the same levels. It's like, me being called crazy depends on the levels of the S&P. That's how it works. um, the trading volume is just too crazy. Well, more so it can be very tame for a couple of days and then just explode. But if you predict the correct stepping stones, it's not that difficult, Mike. I'm telling you, I mean, there's a reason why my students, even those who didn't find trading to be enticing or swing trading, those who just went long term, learned how to make money on the go. It's like, why not? There's money on the floor, why not pick it up? Like, why? It doesn't make any sense. And it's pretty good actually for trading. I mean, remember, what was the whole trick with the firm? It was one of the best things to trade. You can make like 10% on a day, 20 on at least once a week. So there you go, and manage the account with no headaches, right? And how about the rest of the month? And people get that on an annual basis. So, or don't forget, we actually, the trade with a firm that was presented to the community was eventually 100 and something, 100 like 10, 20% ROI all in all. Which, funny enough, Tom and I ended up missing, which I predicted that the hilarity of it cannot be crazier, but this is life. Being able to predict something doesn't mean you can play it perfectly. Conditions of the road can change. Your own life conditions can change, force you into being able to force you out of certain positions, which is not great. This is why we say oftentimes trade with money that you don't never gonna need unless, really something bad happens, or your portfolio, is forcing you one way or another. 22nd of February. Wow, that's gonna be difficult. I would not be able to see that on the 1 minute chart right now, Brad. That's a difficult one. Plus, I think we've closed it since. What is February 22nd? Let's try and find it. I think we've closed it since. I'm not gonna be able to see it. Yeah, no, there is a gap there. No, there is a gap there. Yeah, you're talking about this one probably. Yeah, that one. I mean, you can see it on the daily. I'm pretty sure there is some remnants of it. Let's try and mark it so we can find it easily, right? I mean, looks like in post market close, it's still there. I'm still gonna argue that it's there, because if I'm gonna look at this carefully, what seems to be the case is that everything was done in post market and lots of it in pre. There is gap here. There is a gap that there's a lot too many bots that will be attracted to close it up. Yes, that 70-45 area support resistance, if you will. You can kind of see it in the price action. See if we can find it again. Yeah, I mean, pretty evident. Yeah, we have there. I mean, I'll have to emphasize. Yeah, there you go. It's all pretty clear. Yeah, we have that 70-45 there. We have a gap. So we have some forces to work with. And I'm sure I see a ceiling right here, give or take, somewhere around. Call it here. I could be wrong. No, call it the 77 area. Could be off on the exact range there. But you get the idea. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's somewhere there. So sorry for eyeballing it. Don't do that at home, kids. Not recommended, but yeah, you have it. Here it is. Unsurprisingly so. Yeah, and here it comes again. Magic. Did it? Did it Doritos again? Dorito, mojito, burrito? No, no burrito. That's it. Any for ooh, what did I miss there? Francisco, then no problem. I mean, look, your position, think about it logically, right? What would be the smartest thing to do in your position? If you don't mind all that much, right, and you still want to hold the position long term, which it does sound like, I mean, you're rather confident. The company is good. It's unpleasant, sure, yeah. Find the bottom, DCA into it, right? And that's it. And magic is done. Look at it in 3 years, and you're probably not going to remember these hard days. Yeah, it's going to be unpleasant for the upcoming months, but you get the idea. Right. As long as you don't get, if you don't think you will capitulate, you will be able to withstand the pain on your individual asset. DCA into it on the bottom. You don't care. Do the Tom. It works. It is safe. Less headache. It just work. You know how I'm not gonna name, but how one CEO once said, "It just works," but it does. That's the beauty of Tom's system. It just works. You're the only one who can sabotage yourself with regards to that method. Guys, check this out if he has spots in his academy still. People who are not in it. Um, so for all together, Gene, they come hand in hand. They work together. In fact, if they would contradict each other, then we would have a bit of an issue. But the way I see it, they're confirming one another, which is not that surprising. All in all, it just depends if you're on your ability to be able to recognize that it does so. No, I no, there is no more. I rely on more on the outcome of the entire equation, which is this plus this equals what I more rely on. It's always technicals plus fundamentals plus macro plus everything, all combined to a single equation, mashed up into, yeah. In that, yeah, it's 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3. Maybe this time around 1 is different. This time around 1 is only 1, 0.7. So I do the math accordingly. Gene, come on, stop it. We all know that you are very smart. Gene is one of my students, ladies and gents. Very smart one. Very smart. Brilliant questions. If you want to ask anybody about the experience of my academy, you can ask Gene, known as Tech Invest in our community. You can find them only in the members partition. Sorry. Nah, it's fine. It's fine. Much love, Francisco. Much love right back at you, brother. I hope that my answer was able to support you. Give you a bit of an answer. All right, ladies and gents, I think this is took forever. Half of you probably already fell asleep. So I'm gonna end this stream. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all the wonderful stuff. If not yet, I believe most of you have. Here we have probably the real OGs and the people who are really here for the info and the conversation and all that. So I'm glad you guys showed up. And yeah, that's it. I will see you on tomorrow's live. I'm probably gonna do an early live, and then we're probably gonna be doing something in the evening. I'm not yet sure what we're gonna do, how it's all gonna look like, but we're probably gonna do something. But there's gonna be a live, a Zoom, Zoom live, Discord live, Zoom Hangout, Submarine. I don't know. We will see. But we're definitely going to be doing something. Okay. Yeah, okay. Before you guys go full on bananas, I wish everyone a wonderful evening, night, morning, whatever you have, wherever you are at, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye bye.